All right, I think we're almost ready here. Okay, there we go. So, hello everyone, welcome to today's video where I'm going to be talking about why sometimes finding the healing you're looking to find. Okay, so the physical healing you're looking to find, the emotional, mental, spiritual healing you're looking to find, the transmuting your traumas, the integrating your traumas, the the mental, emotional, like depression, anxiety, finding that healing that you want to find, finding the healing in your relationships, finding the healing in your financial situation, finding the healing in your job situation, isn't about waiting until you have perfectly healed whatever it is you think is wrong with you, whatever it is challenging you right now, whatever apparent thing is causing you pain and is real and is there. It's not about waiting for that to be perfectly healed and perfectly put together and perfectly transcended by you before you start pursuing your life. And in fact, a lot of the time, finding the things that are going to be the thing that heal the body, the trauma, the relationships, the money, the job, whatever it is we think we need to heal, whatever's causing us pain right now, whatever seems to be holding us back from living the life we want to live, a lot of the time it's in the pursuit of our lives. Oh, okay. I'm just getting a message that there's no sound in my live here. Okay, let me just see. Can you hear me now? So anyone who's in my live, can you just give me a little message of whether or not you can hear me? Hello? Is it sound now? Anyone? Yes, okay, good, we're back. All right, so it's just the microphone not working today. No problem. Okay, but is it back? Is it on there now? Everyone can hear me? Okay, good. All right, so thank you for letting me know. That's great, thank you. So yes, oftentimes it is in the pursuit of our lives in general, so in the pursuit of our lives in general, that we find the healing in our bodies, the healing in our relationships, the healing in our financial situation, the healing of our trauma, that we find the tools and the things that are going to help us feel better in these areas of our lives that most of us say, I cannot pursue my life until this thing is healed. Okay? So again, I know that a lot of us have physical stuff we're dealing with. We have traumas we are aware of that we know aren't healed. We have things going on inside of our bodies, inside of our minds, inside of our beings. We have coping mechanisms. We have self-sabotaging behaviors. We have addictions. We have scapegoats. And we say, I can't go and pursue my life. I can't go pursue the career I want. I can't pursue the relationships I want. I can't pursue just the life in general until I have healed these things. And these things being not healed are the reason why I can't find my purpose. I can't live the life that I want to live. Like, I'm stuck in this until I heal. And when I heal, then I can go and start living my life. Okay? And what I want to talk about today is that, again, oftentimes it's actually the exact opposite. Healing works in the exact opposite way that we think it will, in the sense that when we let go of saying, I can't pursue my life until I am healed, and we say, within the capacity of whatever I can do right here, right now, I'm going to start to take steps towards the life I want within the circumstances I'm actually in. I'm going to start to say, okay, maybe I can't fully get to where I want to go. I can't fully express what I want to express. I can't right? I don't know how to get from where I am to exactly where I want to be, and it feels like I can't be where I want to be until this thing in me that is broken or in pain or not right is healed. And it seems like this is the thing in me that's preventing me from having the life that I want, and therefore this has to heal before I can have my life. We start to say, nope. Where can I start to pursue my life? Where can I start to pursue what matters to me in general, instead of making my whole life and my whole focus and my entire way of being all around healing this thing and investing and saying, when I heal this thing, then I will be able to live my life. And until I heal this thing, I cannot live my life. Okay. I want to say a few things before we get started, just to have some clarifying points so that we don't get confused when I'm talking about all the things that I'm talking about. Okay, so number one thing is, this is me speaking from my personal experience. So I am not everybody, everybody is not me. Not everything that I'm going to say is going to resonate with everybody. Not everything that I'm going to say is going to work for everybody. Not everything that I say is going to work for everyone listening, meaning there might be some things from my journey and from what I'm talking about that you will take that work for you, some things that don't. So I am not standing here saying this is the way. I am not standing here saying this is the only thing that works. I am not standing here to say that everyone should do what I did or that everyone's experience is mine. Okay? Really, 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 this is me speaking from my personal experience. Take what resonates with you. Take what sounds good to you. Give it a try. If it doesn't work, let it go, right? Try something else. If it does work, great. If it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you. This is just me wanting to share my experience for anyone who's going to benefit from hearing from my experience, okay? So this is not the way, this is not the only thing. If this doesn't work for you, it doesn't mean you're hopeless, it doesn't mean you can't have what you want, it doesn't mean it's never gonna work, and it doesn't mean you're stuck, nothing like that. It just means this isn't the way for you, and that's okay, okay? We're all different, we all need different things, we're all at different places. That's all that I wanna say about that. Second thing, I am not saying pretend that you aren't where you are, okay? I am not saying deny what's going on in your body. I am not saying deny what's going on in your mind. I am not saying deny your trauma. I am not saying act as though you're perfectly healed and everything will work out for you. That is not what I'm saying here, okay? I'm not saying go from focusing all of your energy on healing and saying that my life is a mess because of this thing and I have to heal this thing, right? What a lot of us kind of do is we become hyper-focused on the thing that's causing us pain, and then giving all of our energy and all of our concentration and all of our everything to this one area of our lives, and saying, this is the only thing that matters, and until I heal this thing, I cannot pursue the rest of my life. This is the thing that's blocking me from having the rest of my life. So we're hyper-focused on this thing. To go from that to just pretending it doesn't exist and pretending you're completely able-bodied or pretending you don't have anxiety or pretending you don't have any of these things and trying to just act like a normal person, okay? That is not what I'm saying. We still acknowledge and validate our limitations and the pain that we're in and the reality of our situation. It's just we're learning to find where the power we do have within our situation is. We're learning to find where we do have some strength and we do have some autonomy and we do have some option and we do have some capacity that we maybe weren't realizing we did, where we can pursue things and we can do things even though it's hard and even though it's uncomfortable and even though the thing that's going on with us does make it harder. This isn't about pretending these things don't exist, okay? So we're not going black and white on this. We're not saying fake it till you make it, completely just act like you're fine and act like as though we still are going to take extra good care of ourselves if we have physical stuff and mental stuff, emotional stuff going on. We're still going to be gentle with ourselves. I'm not telling you to push yourself past your actual limits. I'm saying let's explore what your limits actually are, okay? Those are two different things, okay? So don't interpret what I'm saying as pretend you're not in pain, act like everything's fine and just go and live your life. Like, that is not what I'm saying, okay? Your thing is still real. Your thing is still happening. Your thing is still a thing you are going to pay attention to. You are going to work on. You are going to continue to love and nurture and all of these things. This isn't about denying it. It's about saying you probably have more power than you think you do within it. It's about saying you probably can take some steps you didn't know you could take within it that don't compromise you, okay? So there's a balance here. We're not complete focus on this. I literally can't move until it's healed, and I'm just going to focus all my energy on healing until I'm healed. We're not, I'm just going to act like everything's fine, and let's just like act like I'm an able-bodied, mental, emotionally, completely put together person and who has no trauma and no problems, and I can just live my life. It's neither of these things. It's somewhere in the middle. And I know a lot of the time it can be really hard to wrap our minds around a gray zone, around something that isn't an extreme, because that's basically what the world of self-help teaches us, right? It's like either fully invest in your healing or fully invest in your getting your life, and no one's like, okay, well, real life is always going to be in the middle. Real life is always going to be, let's acknowledge the reality that we have some struggle and we have some limitations and we have some stuff that is legitimately blocking us from having what we want in some ways. And there's some wiggle room. It's both, okay? And then the third thing is we take everything that I'm saying from a foundation of self-love, meaning this is about you living for you. There's no rule that says you have to go get your life. There's no rule that says that staying where you are right now is wrong or bad or shameful or that you shouldn't do it or that it's weak or lazy or any of these things. It has nothing to do with this. Okay? This work that I'm talking about is purely about you. And if you want something different for yourself, because you have a desire to see where you can go from here. Marcus! Sorry, it's the gas. There's going to be noise in the background, so I apologize for that in advance. They're just exchanging the gas in our stove. If you want something different for yourself, that is why we do this. Okay? This is not about earning your goodness. This is not about being good enough. This is not about it's shameful or bad or weak, like I said, to stay where you are. It's not about you are expected and you should and you have to go and get your life. It has nothing to do with any of these things. Okay? If what I'm saying makes you feel bad, if it makes you feel bad about yourself, if it makes you feel like you're failing at life, if it makes you feel like you're not good enough, then don't do it. Okay? Ignore this. Wait until this feels good, until this feels inspiring, until this feels empowering. And if it doesn't, return back to always our foundations, curiosity and compassion on yourself. Curiosity, compassion. Curiosity, compassion. Staying with where you are, staying with where you're at, loving yourself safe, making it safe to be wherever you are, making it okay, because it is okay. Okay? You are worthy of love. You are worthy of acceptance. You are good enough. Right here, right now, no matter how much you're getting your life or not getting your life, no matter how much you're caught in whatever you're caught in, it doesn't matter. You are good enough. You are worthy of love. You are worth it. Okay? If you, yes, okay? It's all about you saying, well, this is what I want for myself. I'm going to pursue this because I want to start living my life now. I don't want to have to wait till I'm healed or everything's better or everything's perfect before I can start working towards the things that I want. If you get to a place where you say, okay, this is what it is, I am what I am in, maybe it never gets totally healed, so my life is now. So let's start seeing what I can do now. Let's start seeing where I can go now. Yeah? If that's how you're feeling, this is for you. So what about when you have your own expectations, not from others, still struggling, feeling good enough? Again, you answer that question. You've been listening to these videos a lot. What do we always return to when in doubt? Right? What's the foundation? Where do we return? To that part of yourself that's saying you're not good enough, and I don't love you, and I have expectations of you that you aren't meeting. What do we do with that part? I just said it. Okay? Compassion and curiosity. We keep returning to those things. We make room for that part. Get curious about that part. What is that part trying to protect you from? What is that part trying to tell you? What does that part need to feel safe and nourished? We keep building that muscle. Okay? That part is trying to motivate you, probably, innocently, trying to convince you this is what you need and this is what you should do and this will make you good enough. And a lot of the time, we just have to keep working on that muscle because it's tough. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to come right away. Building that, no, I am good enough muscle. We do it over and over and over again. Returning to that place of self-compassion and love. We return and return and return. Because we're all going to slip out of it. It's normal, right? We return to curiosity, we return to compassion. Okay. So this is about when we get to a place where we say, okay, so what happened for me? Okay, I'll tell you my story. And I've told the story a million times, but I'm just going to quickly say it again, right? In 2014, I had been sick forever, my whole entire life. Started dieting when I was 14 to try to lose weight and to heal myself and to all these things. I had all this trauma. I was incredibly anxious. I was incredibly depressed. I was working myself into the ground. My physical body was on fire. Like literally, I felt like I was on fire all the time. I had a lot of things going on with me that I didn't even know were happening. Like I know them now. I had autism I didn't know I had. I had gene mutations I didn't know I had. All these things going on, right? And I was in a lot of pain and a lot of stuff. And I remember sitting there, and I was in Thailand at the time, okay? So I had already gone and like gotten my life in a lot of ways. And I might back up a little bit just to share a little bit more about this, but this was the revelation point of this, okay? So I had already moved away from my parents' house. I had worked my way up and gotten myself an online job. So I was working in holistic nutrition and life coaching, and it was definitely something that I really wanted to be doing with my life. But the bottom line was that even though I had like moved forward and done a lot of things, I still had all this pain and I still had all this turmoil and I still wasn't totally healthy and I wasn't in the body I wanted to be in, and all of these things were going on. And like I said, I was in Thailand for the first time, and it was like my dream come true. I had been wanting to go there forever. I was there with the love of my life. It was like all of these things, and I was completely miserable. And I remember sitting there, and I remember thinking again about my grandmother, who was in her 70s, who was still dieting. And I just remember thinking, like, there's no way I'm going to do this. Like, I'm not going to keep waiting to let myself feel good and to let myself feel good enough and to let myself, again, continue to pursue the life that I want and actually learn how to enjoy it until I'm like perfectly healthy and perfectly what I think I need to be. I had all these rules, just like what you asked here, about how until I was this certain weight, until I was this certain health status, because again, right, like all my stories in my head was like, no one's going to take me seriously as a nutritionist if I look like this, and if I have all these health problems, and if I'm all of these things, no one's going to take me seriously, and I can't have my career if no one takes me seriously, and if no one takes me seriously and I can't have my career, then I can't move to Thailand, and then my boyfriend's going to leave me, and then all of these, like, right, I had all of these stories in my head about how until I healed my body, my life wasn't possible. And so I was just like constantly on this path of like trying to nitpick and figure out what's the perfect diet and what's the perfect movement and what do I need to do to like heal this part or lose this weight or do this or do that. And it was just like this constant thing in my head over and over all day long. And just this thought of like, you can't have your life. I can't have my life until I fix this thing. Until my body is healed, I cannot have my life. And it was a little bit wow, because I was already having my life at that point, right? I had already changed so many things about my life, because where I started, in my parents' basement, in my parents' couch at 14, yeah, okay, right? And like all of these stories of I need to be this different way before I'm going to be taken seriously, before I'm good enough, before I'm qualified. Imposter syndrome, all that stuff. It's real. It happens, right? But like I had already shifted and done a lot of things that were really hard, which I'll talk about in a second, of moving towards my life even before I was better. But, you know, still being pretty obsessed with my body. But again, I had that revelation. I realized, okay, this isn't going to work. Being so obsessed with attaining this certain body before I give myself permission to say that I can start just living my life and like really living it, like just pursuing what I want to pursue wholeheartedly, not holding back, not telling myself I can't, honoring, like I said, my boundaries and my limitations, but not holding myself back. Because at that point, like I said, right, like I wouldn't let myself. I wouldn't let myself enjoy what I was in. I wouldn't let myself really be seen or stand in what I knew or do any of the things that I really wanted to do, right? Like I was kind of letting myself do it. I was sort of. And then that moment I was like, you know what? No, my life is now. This is it. And I realized, right? I had been working to heal and fix my body for 10 years at that point. A decade. And I was like, you know, to be honest, I'm kind of a little bit physically where I was when I started. 10 years later, it didn't really feel like I had figured a whole lot of stuff out, which wasn't really true. Like I had figured a lot of it. But in that moment, in that really dark place, I was like, you know, I didn't. And then I thought of my grandma, who was 70 and still dieting. And I was like, this could easily never end. And then I thought to myself, like, am I going to live the rest of my life saying I can't be happy and I can't fully pursue the things I want to pursue until this is fixed? Because I realized in that moment, it might never be fixed. That there might never be a perfect. I might never fully figure it out. I might never get fully healthy. I might never get to the body that I thought that I needed to have before I got taken seriously. I might never heal all of my traumas and be totally emotionally poised and perfect. Like all of these things that I was saying, I can't have my life until I am healed and fixed in all of these areas. Because like I knew I still had traumas. I knew I still had stuff going on. I was anxious. I was depressed. And then I just said, you know what? This is it. This is it now. I'm in Thailand now. I'm here now. And so to the degree that I was able to, in that moment, I just said, you know what? Forget this. As much as I can. Because a lot of it, so much of what was actually holding me back wasn't actually my physical condition. Wasn't actually my trauma. Wasn't actually the things that I thought were wrong with me. The things that were holding me back were the stories I was telling myself about these things. So again, don't go black and white. That doesn't mean that I then just didn't have limitations, that I just changed my mindset and then my body was healed and then my traumas didn't matter and I was fully capable. That's not what I'm saying. I still legitimately had physical, mental, emotional stuff that for the next, up till now, I've been working on. Okay? I didn't say, I'm never going to die again. I'm never going to try to do anything to make my body feel better ever again. I'm never going to pursue anything to heal my traumas again. Nothing like this. What I said was, I'm not going to let these things be a reason that I tell myself I can't have the life that I want right now. And more importantly, the biggest thing was I said, I'm not going to let these things be the reason that I don't let myself feel good in the things that do feel good in my life. I am not going to let these things be a reason I don't pursue what matters to me in my life. Okay? I started to get really serious and honest with myself about the things that I valued, about the things that I cared about the things that when I am on my deathbed, I would be really disappointed if I hadn't gone after. That was where I said, okay, I might never fully figure out my body. I might never fully figure out my traumas. And if I wait my whole life saying I can't pursue these things that matter to me until this stuff is fixed and I don't fix it, I knew I was going to be really disappointed. So I said, the stuff that matters to me and the stuff that I will be upset that I didn't pursue, I'm just going to start pursuing wholeheartedly. And the stuff that's good, I'm going to stop holding myself back from feeling it. The stuff that's good, I'm going to start letting myself enjoy it now. Life isn't perfect. My body isn't perfect. Nothing is perfect. But I'm going to let myself enjoy the things that are good, starting now. Because this is my life. So, I also want to talk a little bit about before that, okay? Because again, I really want you to understand where I'm coming from. Which is, right, when I was 14, I almost died. I was very, very close to not living anymore. And then when I was 18, I almost died again. Very, very close to emergency situation, not going to keep living. I was very sick. I had cysts on my ovaries. I had complete hormonal meltdown. I have, now that I understand it, mast cell activation syndrome, autism, motherfucker gene, or it's not called that, the MTHFR gene mutation. Like, a lot of things going on with my body. I was very, very ill. I was very, very, very emotionally and mentally traumatized. And I don't know what else to say about it. I was chronically anxious. I was chronically depressed. I was the poster child for codependency. I was miserable and scared all the time. I was in horrible physical pain. I was completely traumatized in all my relationships. I had never had someone love me other than my sister. I had been rejected by everyone I'd ever loved, like very harshly rejected by everyone I'd ever loved. My primary caregivers did not like me and were antagonistic towards me. I was alone, like very, very alone. I was 14, very, very sick, and I had to figure it out by myself. At 14. If I hadn't started researching nutrition and doing all the things that I did, I would be dead right now. Okay? I was not in any healed, transformed, transcended place. By the time I was 18, like I said, I was neck deep in a full-blown eating disorder that was caused by the fact that I was so incredibly and mentally and emotionally, spiritually traumatized, and that my physical body was like in a lot of pain. I wasn't just doing it because I wanted to be skinny. It was literally like, I don't know how else to describe it, but it was like literally every time I ate, I felt like I was going to die because I was allergic to everything that I ate. Like I was essentially at a place where my body was so inflamed and so triggered and so mast cell activation and histamine intolerance and all these things that every single time I ate food, period, I felt like I was going to die. And I'm not exaggerating. So of course, I didn't want to eat, right? And so I got very, very sick, and I was very, very not okay. And what I did for myself at 19, after being diagnosed with anorexia, and of course they didn't understand what was really going on with me. Like there was a lot of things going on with me. I wasn't just afraid of gaining weight. It was like literally, like I just said, eating made me feel like I was going to die and made me sick. Food made me sick, and it had historically always made me sick. And none of my organ systems worked. Literally none of my organ systems worked. Like I was very, very sick, and I was young, and I had no resources, right? I hadn't been to college. There was no trust fund. There was no money for school. There was no... I had been working since I was 12 to pay for my own food because I knew I needed health food. And I was cooking for myself, and yeah, I did really well in high school, but like getting out of high school, that was it. My parents were kind of like, good, figure it out. So I was in no position to say I was ready to pursue my life. So what I did for that first 6 months was literally I just forced myself to eat, to gain weight. And I did it. And I felt horrible. I felt like I was going to die every single day. But I did it to gain weight so that I could get out of my parents' house. That's what I did. For 6 months, I just gained weight so that I wasn't anorexic anymore. And we moved away. And you have to remember, I had no college education. I had put myself through a nutrition diploma, but right, what's a 19-year-old gonna do with a nutrition diploma? Nothing. A holistic nutrition diploma, right? So I just started working. We rented an apartment. I got a job. We had no money, right? Just enough money to live. And I figured it out. And I was still physically totally sick, mentally, emotionally not well. But I was pursuing my life anyways. I refused to just sit in my parents' basement because I knew I wasn't going to heal there. And it was hard, and it wasn't fun most of the time, but there was joy in it because it was a step forward. And then we moved from Edmonton to Vancouver, and I started pursuing yoga and yoga teacher training. And just literally, my point here is I was never healed. I was never all put together. I was never not in pain before I was willing to just take whatever step was in front of me to build the life I wanted to live. And I didn't have like a full, clear picture of the life I wanted to live. I didn't know I was going to end up here where I am. Like the vision for living in Asia didn't come until Vancouver, which was a couple of years later. All I knew was I didn't want to be living in my parents' basement. I wanted to share my story with other people who were like me, who felt totally alone and had no voice, right? I think I want to tell this story too. That the second time I almost died, I was 19, right? I had just been diagnosed with anorexia, and the doctors were all telling me, like, your electrolytes are all messed up, your heart, you have an irregular heart rhythm, your liver is shutting down, your kidneys are shutting down. If you were 18, we would be forcing you into the hospital. That's what they told me. They said you are so sick and your labs are so bad that if you weren't legally an adult, you would not have an option right now. We would be putting you in the hospital, we would be hooking you up to a feed tube. That's how sick you are. And they said, but because you're 19, we can't do that. We can't force you in here. You have to decide for yourself what you're going to do. And because I was 19, I was like, okay, well, can you support a vegan diet? And they said no. And I don't know. And again, I'm not making any political statement here. I am not saying this is what everyone else should do or anyone else should do. I'm just saying for me and my personal self, there's just always been something inside of me that I can't eat animals. Like, I just can't do it. I have this line that I'm just not willing to cross. And so I said, I'm not willing to cross that line. I'm not going to come to the hospital. I will do it myself. And of course, I walked away from that and I was like in denial. I was like, no, I'm going to be fine. They're just trying to scare me. And then I was going to nursing clinic every 2 weeks, kind of like an outpatient program or whatever. And I wasn't really doing it. Like I said, like I wasn't changing my diet. I wasn't really doing anything. I was still kind of in my denial phase. And they kept saying, like, hun, like, you're not going to survive. Like, this is really bad. You're getting worse. Your labs are getting worse. Your kidneys are getting worse. We're concerned your heart's going to stop. Like, you're going to have to change something. And I was like, yeah, whatever. And then one day I was on a walk. And I was just out on a walk by myself. And I had this feeling of, if you've ever played a video game and you get to the boss level, right? You've played the game all the way, you're at the last level, and then you die, and you have to go all the way back to the beginning and do the whole thing again. I had that sensation, and it was like, but that was my life. And it was very odd at this. So again, even right now, I'm not saying that I believe in reincarnation. I'm not saying I believe that that was even a revelation of what reality is. It's just in that moment, for me, as a Christian who did not believe in reincarnation in any sense of the word, like I never imagined that that was a real thing. To me, I was going to die and go to heaven. Like that was the assumption. That was what I had been told my entire life. Reincarnation had nothing to do with my upbringing. I did not think that was a thing. But in that moment, what I felt was that if I died right now, I was going to have to start over again. And I was like, there is no way in hell I am starting over again. This has been so hard already. I can't do this again. No. And then I heard a voice in my head that said, you can keep going how you're going. And you're going to die. And that's fine. Right? There was no judgment. It was literally, there was all of a sudden no fear. There was no, like, that's bad or that's wrong or anything. It was just, you're going to die. That's just kind of like a fact of life. And you're going to have to start all over. Or you can heal and you can get better and you'll have a really cool life and you're going to be able to help other people. And that was the promise. That if I did it, that I wouldn't just be doing it for me. That I would be able to use what I had been through and that it would help other people. Like that was what they promised me. Whatever spoke in my head. They said, we promise that you'll be able to turn around and make this good for someone else. And it was in that moment that I said, okay, fine, I'll do it. Right? I'll live. I want to try. I can do this. And I went home and I had my first cooked food meal that I'd had in years. And it was horrible, like I said. And I just started gaining weight. And I just committed to it for 6 months. And like I said, it was terrible. It was horrible. It was the worst I'd ever felt. But it was a step. It was a step forward. And then we moved to Edmonton, and it was a step. And I still felt horrible. And it wasn't even literally until like, I don't know, like 5 or 6 years later that I even started dealing with my mental and emotional traumas. But here's what I learned. Here's what I know to be true. Now, I don't know however many years later, I have healed so many of the things. Like by the time I got diagnosed with a lot of the things that I got diagnosed with, I was already doing the protocol that you would do for someone like that. And I was already like healing these things. So I went from literally not knowing what was wrong with me, being completely debilitated by my symptoms, to getting to a place where I could manage them, to getting to a place where I was literally making progress with getting better and stronger. Like making progress. A lot of the people who have what I have, by my age, are in wheelchairs, have had multiple surgeries, are on multiple pharmaceutical drugs just to make it through the day. And no shame, no guilt, like totally I understand, but I'm not. And it's not because I'm better, and it's not because I'm stronger, and it's nothing like this. It's just because, number one, I didn't really have access to any of the treatments or whatever, so like I couldn't have been on those things. But second thing was that I've just been figuring it out. I've been figuring it out as I've gone along. And the main thing that I want to say is that it's been in the pursuit of the life that I've wanted. That how to heal my body, how to heal my traumas, all of the things that have been the tools that I have used to get better, because I am so much better than I used to be, were found on the path. If I had waited in my parents' basement until I was physically better, until I was emotionally better, to start pursuing the life that I wanted, I would still be there. Like, I really want to make that super clear. I would still be in their basement. Even if I had figured out all the things that I've figured out right now, I'm still not perfect. I would still be in their basement. And instead of that, I've lived a whole life. I've traveled, I've met the love of my life, I got married, I've started a company, I wrote my magnum opus in the mystery school, I have made millions of YouTube videos, I've had so many experiences. Not healed, not fully better. But it was in pursuing my life in general that, like I said, the steps that helped me figure out what was going on with my body, that helped me figure out what was going on with my mental and emotional traumas, that helped me with all of these things, those answers came on the path. It came on the path. Those weren't the prerequisites for the path. So I just want to, I don't know how to say it in like enough different ways so that it lands for everybody, but everyone who's waiting until you're healed before you can start pursuing what you want, I want you to understand that the tools for what is going to heal you, you are going to find them on the path. Like if you think of, this is the life that I want, and these are all the things that are holding me back, and this is where I am on the path, right? This is the path. This is the distance between where I am right now and all the things that I'm struggling with and the perfect life that I want, where I'm healed and I'm living my life and I'm pursuing the things that matter to me and I'm becoming this person that I really want to become. The tools, the healing things, the wisdom, the understanding, the transformation is here, waiting until you're this person before you start walking is a perfect way to ensure that you never become this person. You don't become your after and then pursue your life. You don't become healed and then pursue your life. You don't wait till you're at the top of the mountain before you start climbing the mountain. You don't wait until you can play Mozart before you will start learning scales on the piano. You don't wait until you can run a marathon before you put on your running shoes and go for a 5K. But this is what we're all doing. We're all saying, until I can run a marathon, I'm not going to start running. Until I can play Mozart, I'm not going to start playing the piano. Until I am a master speaker, I'm not going to start sharing my thoughts. Until I am the world's most best-selling author, I'm not going to start writing. This is what we're doing. Until I'm healed, I'm not going to start pursuing my life. Until my physical body is healed, I'm not going to start pursuing my career. Until all my traumas are better, I'm not going to start pursuing relationships, things that I enjoy, my passions. This is how we all get stuck where we are, and stuck in self-help and self-improvement and these healing modalities that maybe even are the right thing. But when that's all we're doing, we're not living our lives, we're not pursuing the other things that matter to us, when our whole world is about healing, that's how we get stuck. Because it's on the path. It's as you climb the mountain, you become the person who's going to be able to be at the top of the mountain. The person who's at the top of the mountain climbed the mountain. The you that you want to become became that, will become that, because you took little steps. You walked your path. You did what was available to you in the next moment. So again, this life that I'm living now, I didn't go from 19, almost dead, to married to the love of my life, living in Asia, running my spiritual company. That wasn't the next step. This was step 455. The next step from there was, I'm just going to have to eat a bunch of things that don't feel good, because I got to gain weight, and I got to get some strength, so I can move out. And a lot of the steps that were my next steps were hard. It was just finding a job and working a job so that I could get money to pay my rent. A lot of it was I worked, I made just enough money, and then when I came home, I was working on blogs. I was building my company on the side. I always had more than one job, plus my building what I wanted on the side. I just did what I had to do to start building the life that I wanted. And a lot of the time it was just hard. It was just hard work. But I did it because it mattered to me to do it. Okay, so again, that's why I say at the beginning of this, we can't do this from a place of this is what I should do, and this will make me good enough, and this, right? Like, that's never going to be the motivating factor. It has to be coming from that place of like, okay, but I want my life. I'm doing this because at the end of the day, even if no one else ever cares, even if no one else ever validates me, even if no one else, whatever, when I get to my deathbed, I would be disappointed that I hadn't pursued this. And I was willing to fail at a lot of things. So that's the other thing, right? Like, I was so good at failing at stuff. This was not a smooth trajectory. So many of the things that I thought, this is going to be how it's going to work out, and this is what it's going to do, and it wasn't. Right? Like, even like moving to Thailand, I just thought you could move to Thailand. No, you can't. You absolutely cannot just move to Thailand. There were so many obstacles and so many things that I didn't know were a part of it that could have gone horribly wrong. And so a lot of it too was just like, I'm going to take the risk and see what happens. And if it's a fail, and if it's, I can't have that thing, and if I find out, I always just wanted to know that, like, I had tried everything. I was just willing to try everything, and if the answer was no, if I found out it was no, at least I knew I had tried everything. And like I said, being willing to take the steps from where I was at. So there were absolutely times where I was physically not capable of doing the things that other people were doing. Like hustling to try to be a yoga teacher, I physically wasn't able to do that. And I had to admit that boundary, and so I never became a yoga teacher. And now I'm glad that I didn't, but at the time it was like I was kind of handicapped. And I accepted that. My physical body had limitations. I was still sick. There were things, right? I couldn't work more than I was working. I didn't have physical, financial resources to go and get a university degree so that I could get a higher paying job so that life didn't have to be so stressful. It just wasn't a thing. So I dealt with the hand I was dealt. And it was hard. So like I said, but it was in the process. Doing the steps. Understanding that every step was going to be temporary. Knowing that even if it was really hard and challenging, it was for something. Because it was building something. It was taking me somewhere. I never allowed myself to think like, oh, this is shit, and my life is just going to be like this forever. Because it isn't. It never is. I always looked for what was good about this. I always looked, one thing that was really important to me and really powerful for me was when I was in a step that was really hard, right? Like when I was just working a job I really didn't want to be working and it was horrible, but I had to do it. I would always say, okay, this job is giving me something that I'm going to need for my next step. I just always told myself that story. Whatever I'm in right now, as shitty as it is, as mundane and boring and repetitive and whatever as it's felt, I always thought to myself, what am I learning? Who am I becoming through this experience? Even if it's just I'm learning endurance. I'm learning how to push through stuff that needs to be pushed through in order to get where I want to go. I'm learning how to moderate my energy because this is just going to be a little bit of a marathon and I'm used to sprinting. I'm learning things at this job because it was that thing of like literally every job I had, every restaurant I ever worked at, every health food store I ever worked at, every yoga studio I ever worked at. I learned something there about human psychology. Like everyone I was asking, like, how do I know people so well? Well, the first 10 years of my career was customer service. And I don't know a better place to learn human psychology than to be continually interacting with the public and seeing the patterns and talking to people. Like I kind of feel like I got my university degree in psychology just via my customer service experience. And I just refuse to let anything be not important. Every step was, I'm going to learn something from this. I'm going to take something from this, and it's going to inform me, and it's going to make me better at the next step. Nothing was ever mundane or unimportant. And it wasn't what I wanted. Right? I didn't want to be working customer service at a health food store selling supplements to rich people. That was not my dream. But it was a step towards my dream. And I did it for as long as I needed to do it until, and this was the thing, until the next step presented itself. And what I have found for myself is that so long as I'm willing to be in the step that I'm in while keeping my eye on the prize, when I was ready to move on, the next step always presented itself. I moved to the next job, I moved to the next thing, I kept blogging, I kept writing, I got obsessed with this girl who came to the restaurant, who ran a blog, and then because I had been writing for all these years, I was like this perfect fit for her needing content. And then I can help you make a meal plan, and then maybe I'll be your holistic nutritionist. And then she hired me full time, and then I started my own company on the side, and then I was eventually able to let her job go. And you see, everything was a step on the path. And all of that led towards me being able to be in Asia more full time. And then figuring that whole thing out, and that was a huge circus. And again, I did all of it, not physically healed, but every year I got a little bit better. I didn't have to commit my entire existence to figuring out how to heal my body. On the way, as I was building the rest of my life, I figured out stuff about my body. I figured a lot of things out about my body. This is the first year that I can remember in my entire life where my back hasn't slipped out, pinching my nerve, causing me nerve pain running all down my back. This is the first year in my life that has not happened. Like, I have gotten so much stronger that my bones are staying in place for the first time in my life. I used to literally walk around with pinched nerves all over my body all the time. That was just normal. I once had one so bad in my neck, I thought I had a tumor in my head. I literally thought I had a brain tumor. It was just pinched nerves because my connective tissue doesn't support me the way that a normal person's connective tissue does. So my bones slide out of place and then pinch nerves, and that was my life. And that was getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And now it's getting better and better and better to the point where I haven't had a pinched nerve in an entire year. And I didn't quit my life and just focus on healing. I've never been to a healing retreat. I've never done a water fast. I've never done a juice fast. I've never done anything extreme like that. I've just been making progress over the years as I've been building my life. So I made the focus what matters to me. The main focus was not healing. The main focus was not healing. The main focus was what matters to me. What kind of life works for me as the person that I am right now? So yes, I do a lot of things to support my body every day. I don't neglect my body. I don't neglect my mind. I have dealt with my traumas. I've gotten therapy. I've done all these things as the steps have presented themselves, while I've been building my life, while I've been pursuing this career, while I've been pursuing my relationship and making that stronger, while I've been pursuing moving all around the world. I didn't just focus one or the other. I let my life be about what matters to me, and then how do I support the me that exists right now. So again, not so much focusing on healing or fixing myself, but like what feels nourishing and supportive for me right now physically. What does my body need right now? What does my mind need right now? And as I have made that my focus, so not how do I heal, how do I fix this, how do I get rid of it? What do I need to feel the most good and the most supported that I possibly can right now? That's how I found the steps. How do I support and nourish myself that exists right now? The not perfect, not healed, not going to be exactly perfect, but like the me that exists. How can I support the me that exists? Wow, I'm pursuing the life that I want to the degree that I can, taking the next step that I can. Even if it's shitty, even if it's hard, it's not the thing that I want, it's the step. And then I just made everything in my mind was a step. I refused to believe that there were roadblocks. I refused to believe that there was anything that wasn't exactly what I needed. If I was in it, I said, okay, great, I'm in it. What am I learning from this? What is this teaching me? And I would get pissed off, and I would get depressed, and I would get sad about it, and I would get over it. that happened, and I would love myself, and I validated myself, and I didn't pretend that shitty things weren't shitty. But then I would say, okay, well, what do you want to do with this shitty thing? Do you want to quit? Because if you quit, I always gave myself permission to quit. But then I would always ask myself, right? Long term, are you going to be glad to quit? And sometimes the answer was yes. Sometimes I quit stuff. So I was like, yeah, this isn't worth it. This isn't where I want to go. Like, I quit some yoga teacher trainings. I quit a lot of things, actually, to be honest. And then there were a lot of shitty things that I just did. And it was hard, and I was sick, and I was weak, and I was tired, and it was just what I had to do at the time. And I healed along the way. Everything that I've discovered has come while I've been pursuing my life. Nothing came. And then I pursued my life. This has all been along the way. Because like I said, if I had waited until I was perfectly healed before I started pursuing my life, I still would be in my parents' basement. I wouldn't have even started yet. I would have 15 years ahead of me to get to where I am right now. I am so glad I didn't wait. I am so glad I didn't put that limit on myself. I am so glad I said I'm going to do what I can do now. It's not perfect, it's not ideal, it's not what I want, but it's towards what I want. And I am so glad that I committed to just believing that everything was something for me, that every step had information for me, that every step was going to build on itself and lead me to my next step, and that I was willing to be in it until the next step presented itself. And it always did. It always did. I never got stuck anywhere. There were times where I felt like I was stuck. There were times where I felt like I should be ready to move on to the next thing. And I kept at it until the next step presented itself. The next job. The next thing that I wanted to pursue. And like I said, I pursued the things that mattered to me in my own time, no matter what. I always had my side thing. Because of that promise they gave me. They promised me that if I did it, I'd be able to help people. So I focused on that. And now I get to do that full time. That's my only job. But that's how many years later? I was 19 then. I'm 31 now. Took a long time. But it happened. Slowly, one step at a time. Okay, so I'm no perfect before and after. I'm not perfectly healed. I'm not perfectly anything. But I am way better than I used to be. And I am an example of how it can get better. So much better. I am in so much less pain on all levels than I ever have been. And I want that for you. You deserve that. And your life is now. Your next step is now. This is it right now. So acknowledge where you are. Acknowledge what's real for you in this moment. This is not about pretending you're somewhere where you're not. But be real about the things that matter to you. So this is not about earning your goodness. This is not about getting your life because you should. It's not any of these things. It's literally just when you're going to die, what are you going to be glad you pursued? If this was the end, what would you feel upset that you didn't let yourself go for? That you didn't let yourself experience? And as cliche as that is, it's like one of the best tools I know to help make things really clear for us. That this isn't about getting approval. This isn't about other people. This isn't about society's expectations of you. It's you and you. Between you and you. And then, right, if it's really coming from that genuine place, it's not going to be about you're disappointed in yourself, or you feel like you're not good enough for not pursuing it, or you feel shame or guilt. If any of that's coming up, again, compassion, curiosity, move through that. That's not it. When it's your true voice, it's just going to be, I want that. There's no shame and there's no guilt. There's no you should. It's a desire. This just matters to me. This is important to me. This is a part of the fabric of who I am. And it doesn't have to be this huge big thing either. It doesn't have to be this whole big life-changing, altering, whatever. It literally can just be it. Like I wish I had pursued relationships. I wish I had just let myself enjoy nature. I wish I had let myself enjoy more books. Like literally that stuff counts. Just anything that you're going to get to the end of your life and be like, man. And same thing other way. What are you going to be like, why did I waste my time pursuing that? That didn't actually matter to me. Right? Like think about that stuff too. What's the stuff you're going to get to the end of your life and be like, that wasn't important to me? And then, of course, acknowledging we all want approval. We all want acceptance. We all want to feel like we're good enough. And we pursue those things innocently, right? You're not pursuing things that don't matter to you because you're lame or it's nothing like that. Sorry, I shouldn't use that word, because you're willfully just throwing your life away. It's nothing like that. It's indoctrination. It's culture. We all do it. We all pursue things that don't actually matter to us. We all are indoctrinated. That's okay. When we see it, don't have shame, don't have guilt, don't blame yourself. You didn't do anything wrong. We were all indoctrinated. And we just love that part. We just love that part safe, compassion, and curiosity. And then just start taking the steps that are in front of you. Start allowing yourself to pursue your life and know that the healing stuff will come through that. It's not about not trying to heal. It's about understanding that sometimes we do it not healed. Sometimes we can have absolutely everything we want, and that healing we think we have to have before we can have it, we don't. And sometimes we find the answers as we're in the pursuit. And then keep asking yourself the question, how can I nourish who and what I am right now? So this is not about pretending we don't have the limits we have. Not about pretending we don't have the pain we don't have. It's nothing like that. It's okay, I'm in pain. Okay, I have these limits. So how can I support the me that exists right now? I'm not trying to fix me. I'm not trying to make me better. It's what do I need right now to be supported and loved? Because those are the things that will make you better. Those are the things that will heal you. When we switch from how do I fix myself to how do I nourish myself? How do I support myself as I am right now? What do I need right now? That is how you're going to figure out how to heal. Every time you show up for just how do I support myself right now, you figure out a little bit more about how to heal yourself. So, what matters to me and how can I start pursuing it now? How can I love the parts of myself that tell me I'm not allowed to have that until I'm healed? How can I go for it anyways and prove to myself I don't need to be healed in order to have these things? How can I start giving myself permission to enjoy the things that I want to enjoy and to pursue the things that matter to me, whether or not I'm healed? And how do I nourish who and what I am and where I am right now? Acknowledging my limitations, acknowledging my traumas, acknowledging all that stuff, still showing up for that. Doing your inner child work, doing your therapy, doing your self-love. So we're not going to be full throttle pursuing our lives, completely neglecting all these other things. Because of course that's not going to work, right? If we all pretend we don't have trauma, pretend we don't have pain, and I'm just going to pursue my stuff, it's all going to fall apart, absolutely. If we only focus on healing, we only focus on trauma, we only focus on our pain, we'll never have our life. Both. How do I pursue what I can pursue from where I'm at? How do I give myself permission from where I'm at? And how do I nourish who and what I am? The limits I have right now. Right now. Not, how do I fix myself? How do I heal myself? What do I need right now to feel nourished? Those three things together. I'm going to pursue the life I want. The things that matter to me. Small, medium, large, all of it. To the degree that I can, I'm going to go for it now. I'm not going to wait to be fixed. I'm going to love the parts of myself that tell me I can't, that are holding me back, that are telling me I'm not allowed, that are telling me I'm not good enough, that are telling me I have to have more and do more and all these things. Compassion and curiosity. Keep making those parts of yourself safe, loving them safe. They're traumatized, they're just trying to protect you, but it's not real and it's not true. And then, rather than how do I heal and fix myself, how do I nourish and love and support the me that exists with my physical limitations, my mental limitations, my emotional limitations right now. I'm not trying to fix me. I'm trying to support and nourish me. Because the more you do that, those three things, the whole path will reveal itself one step at a time. And then just let yourself be in each step. What are you learning in each step? Assume that it's giving you what you need for the next step, and you will be ready for the next step when the next step appears. And until then, just keep assuming this is it until the next thing presents itself. This is it until the next thing presents itself. And just keep saying, what am I learning? What am I learning? What am I learning? Even if it's just endurance. Okay? So hopefully that's that good, clear. The healing happens on the path. The healing happens on the path. You don't become the person at the top of the mountain and then climb the mountain. You become the person at the top of the mountain because you climb the mountain. So just take your next step. Nourish who you are right now. Love the parts of you that are scared. Be committed to what you're in. And wait for the next step to appear. And until it does, be in this. Love yourself. Acknowledge and validate you don't love it. That's okay. You don't have to be positive all the time. You just have to be curious and compassionate. Okay? So that's that. I love you all. You're the best. Your life is now. You're worthy of having what you want now. It's all about you being worthy of your life. This isn't about you becoming good enough. This isn't about you getting your life so that you're worthy. No. It's because you deserve your life. You deserve your life. You deserve your life. That's what this is about. You deserve this. This is for you. Okay? Okay. Mwah. I'll see you next week. Have a beautiful day, night, afternoon. I'll see you later.